The grave of Florence Irene Ford. Florence Irene Ford died of yellow fever at the age of 10 in 1871 and was laid to rest in Natchez City Cemetery in Adams County, Mississippi. Throughout her young life, she was terrified of storms and would run to her mother for comfort whenever one picked up. After her death, her mother requested that her tomb include, a little glass panel at her daughter's head. A touch creepy, but not. I'm reading this from. I pulled it straight off the internet. However, her mother then ordered the burial casket to be accessible by a stairway that led down to her daughter's head, where the glass window was, extending down approximately 6 feet. Her mother also had a metal trap door placed at the top of the stairs so that she could close it during a storm, so her daughter wouldn't be scared, and sit with her singing or reading until the storm passed. That's wild.
I like that.
And the thing about that is that's still there right now. There's look it up on YouTube. People visit it.
So you can go in Mississippi to that gravesite and you can actually walk down.
Yeah, but I think
staircase.
Yep, but I think I saw a video where people were going down to visit, but they had sealed it up with concrete or something like that.
So you can't actually see the body.
So the window, the glass window is not accessible.
You can't.
But the steps are still there. Yeah.
So you can still, and you can go down. I mean, they don't have it blocked off.
No, it's there.
So you can go down and actually.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean. It's still there.
I find that I don't know if I find it to be real haunting or if I find it to be real.
Oh, it gets
loving. I mean, because
it is. Of course, we talked about this before too. It's loving as the parent. They want.
Yeah.
God forbid, we can't imagine what that was really like, but to do that. But then later, there's other people that want to go look, right?
And they want to experience something that is
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I guess for the mother, I think. I guess I find it to be endearing because
sure.
And it is. I think it's also it's like she doesn't want to let go.
Right.
Her daughter died.
Right. Well, the mother wasn't doing it to be, funny or to make the headlines or anything like that. The mother had a genuine reason for wanting to be close.
She loved her daughter. Her daughter was scared of thunderstorms, and she wanted to make this. So
to be able to console, I totally get that. That's just an extreme way of doing that.
Very extreme way, but I mean.
Well,
I guess to each their own. I mean,
yeah. So keeping that in mind, we'll move on to Nadine Earls. Nadine Earls, her parents. So obviously, she was a young child that died. Her parents built her dream brick playhouse for her grave. It's filled with toys, a picture of her birthday party, a Christmas tree, a bicycle, and more. And I didn't write down where this was at. I think this is up in the New England area, but I have good job. Thanks. That fits right in with the story. But so
it almost sounds like a crypt opening up.
Yeah. So she died this was 1933, and so her parents built this playhouse to bury her in, and it's like a mausoleum. So she's not buried down in the ground. She's in this clubhouse, or not clubhouse, but a dollhouse, and they've got it set up like a child's playroom. Looking at the pictures of it, there's old dolls, the old creepy dolls from the 1930s.
They're still looking at you.
They're still there, but then there's newer dolls too. And then right there, what looks like a bed is actually the baby's crypt or whatever you call it. The stone. What do you call that? What's the word for that?
Crypt is what I was
Crypt, yeah. So anyway, a
mausoleum.
It's inside the mausoleum. The mausoleum has windows like a dollhouse or a clubhouse would, where you can go to this cemetery where all the other graves are, flat markers, everything's pretty flat, and then there's this dollhouse there with several windows. You can go up and look inside the window and see the little girl sing. Well, later when her parents died, they're buried right outside. And so outside this mausoleum, there's a sidewalk that kind of comes around the side and goes to the front and goes up to the front door of this dollhouse. Right in the front yard are mom and dad.
Wow.
So that's pretty.
Wow.
So they built like similar. Obviously, didn't that was a traumatic experience for the parents to be so young. And I forgot, I didn't write down how old she was, but to be so young. Well, so they build this mausoleum, this dollhouse for her, so that they can come visit and see her and give her toys and Christmas presents and things like that. So that's pretty wild. Move on real.
Well, to me,
go ahead.
Speaking about, I find that kind of. I mean, I can understand people thinking that's, weird and like, why would you do that? I mean, to me, it seems kind of sweet that they would do that. And
so and then they left it the way other people could come and bring presents and stuff too, and so they would have people that weren't even related to them would come and do this kind of thing too. So now I got the kids out of the way because I knew that was going to be that's sensitive. It's more sensitive when it's kids. So let's move on now to wild things that are adults. Timothy Clark Smith in New Haven, Vermont. So Clark was a doctor, but the older he got, he became more and more paranoid that he was going to be buried alive. He was scared to death, no pun intended, scared to death of being buried alive. So he requested that his grave have an opening going all the way up to the ground with a window so that people could look in to make sure that he was actually dead and not moving.
I thought she was about to say the bell thing.
Oh, well, they did that. That was like a common thing that they did with everybody. So if you died, they had a string going down to a bell tied to a finger.
that's where the dead ringer
Yeah.
came from.
Right. So if they weren't really dead, they'd move their finger.
There was a
finger,
lot of mistakes
but they had-
made back in the
Sure,
day.
absolutely.
Yeah, and that was back where they had the grave diggers out there.
Yeah.
They was actually the grave keepers. They would
Watch
monitor
the bell.
Can
That way,
you
if the bell
imagine?
rang, it'd be like digging back up.
I'm
He's
not
dead.
digging nothing. I'm running the other way.
No, they had. No, they were. So there were people that actually but their job. Yeah.
I can see Chris being there when the show talking about. You need to
There
sit
it
here at
is.
this grave site. We got this bell tied down in the ground where the guy is dead. But in case he's not dead, if that bell rings, I mean, dig him up. I can see Chris sitting there be like,
Digging
Chris
nothing up.
would be one with the show be like, what was that? What was that? I heard something.
Yeah.
And if he saw that bell ring,
He's staying down there.
he'd be gone.
Kind of like that. Right?
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
like-
God, man. I could.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
I'll
but
be
that-
a bad grave
but
keeper.
That's allegedly a true story that they would tie the string. So if they moved.
So we got off topic. Anyway,
All right. So
Trey, go back to what you were
okay.
saying.
So Timothy Clark Smith was scared. I don't want to say scared to death again. He feared when he got older. He was more and more paranoid, and he was worried that he was going to be buried alive, and that was his big fear. So he had a window put in, or he requested that when he was buried, he would have a window that people could look down, and that is still there today. That window is still there. It's not closed off or anything, but because it was so long ago, and that's another note I didn't take, but because it was so long ago, the glass has gotten, condensation gotten underneath it, mold and things
So
like
you
algae and
can't
things like that. So
actually
you
see.
can't see. Yeah. And they said that people have gone there with flashlights and tried to look down. You can't see it. So,
That's
but
interesting, too.
but there were a
I'd
lot
like
of
to see
caskets.
that in person.
There were a lot of caskets back in the day that used to have the glass on over the face on the casket.
What I would ask is, keeping with his before he died, what his last wishes were. Why haven't? And I don't know who would do this, his family, or I'm sure now I don't know who it would be, but that's what he requested, was to have a glass so people could look down and see to make sure he was dead.
Yeah.
Why haven't they kept his request up? And now that you can't see him because the glass it's been so long, condensation and all that, you can't see anything.
I think his rights is kind of being violated right now.
Why haven't they replaced the glass? Gone in and taken it up and
I would
replaced it where you can see in his
Yeah.
coffin.
I would
Which I'm
assume
sure
that.
now was nothing but bones and dust.
Right. Well, that's what I was
But
going to
still,
say.
why haven't they done that?
I would just assume because after a period of time, it was obvious that he wasn't with us anymore, and that it was okay.
I know
but they left the glass there.
that's
But
his,
that's
that
what he
was his
wanted.
Last request.
That's what he wanted. So that
So-
wasn't his last request. This was something I think that he wanted way before he actually
Before he
died.
died.
Yeah, because when
Yeah.
he was getting older, he was just getting more and more paranoid. Like different types of mental issues and things like that were probably coming in. So he was.
I'm guessing what I'm saying is, if he has any family left, if they wanted to go replace that,
No, they probably could, yeah. But I would assume
who would you go talk to?
I don't know. Well, the funeral home, the whoever owns the
And say, hey,
cemetery.
I want to take up that glass.
Yeah, well, that's like because people can request
it. And I want to be able to see the remains in the casket.
Yeah,
I want to see the giblets.
Well, they can't. Well, so they, it's just like the family of somebody who died.
What the hell, man?
The family of somebody who died 100 years ago. If you're the immediate family, I'm sure you can go to that cemetery and request to replace the headstone. You know,
Yeah.
So this is not really that much different.
We're not talking about headstone.
I know,
we're
but
talking about
Well, he's talking about a broad stroke.
That's paid for by that family back when he died.
A headstone's a lot different than
Scott.
He's
down in
saying
the
I
ground.
brought the whole grave. He's
Yeah.
covering it all like insurance.
Well, I know, but I'm saying that might not be the same thing.
You have upset
That's why
him.
I'm just curious, and I would.
Well, I'm just
that'd be
saying,
something I'd like to know.
I don't know for sure. I don't work at a funeral home or at a cemetery or anything like that. But I would assume that as you purchase a plot, your burial plot, to do whatever you want, and like the lady with the steps going down and the windows and that sort of thing, I would assume that when you've paid for that, that's paid for. That is just the way it is, that window. And I would assume that family generations going down, direct descendants would be able to go and say, we want to replace that window. And I don't think that they would have any argument with that if it's a direct descendant or whoever is a direct descendant. I would assume would be the ones that could say we want to replace that window. But at the same time, I would assume that the family doesn't want all these people that get on YouTube and things like that, where I've seen it, that go to try to see the face. They probably don't want that.
Nope.
So they probably don't want to replace it. But I'd also assume that the ground, the earthwork going down the hole, unless it's like a chimney, like a concrete brick or whatever hole going down to the head, I would assume at this point, even if the glass was clear, that the ground and stuff would probably, the erosion and stuff would kind of start covering things up anyway, and you wouldn't be able to see anything. I would assume that. So let's move on to one more. I got one more for you, and then you guys can say what you want. But I wrote these notes down, and I'm reading them. I almost did it again. All right.
Don't go.
No. I'm not going to do it. All right, here we go. The last one that I've got. 71-year-old George Swanson. Yeah.
That was his name.
According to his request, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Swanson.
No, you don't. According to his request.
It was on the briefcase.
Jesus.
You talking about Dumb and Dumber?
I just can't. Go ahead.
Samson.
I was way
off.
Anyway.
You know, the great snowy owl is very important to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
It's funny you said that.
71-year-old George Swanson, according to Swanson's request, was buried in the driver's seat of his 1984 white Corvette.
I like it.
In Irwin, Pennsylvania.
I like it.
He bought 12 burial plots at Brush Creek Cemetery.
12?
It's a big car. 12 burial plots at Bush Creek Cemetery, located 25 miles east of Pittsburgh, in order to ensure that his beloved Corvette would fit in his grave with him. So he was cremated, which kind of defeats. I don't know why.
Yeah, it defeats the purpose.
So where was he put in?
He was
in the ashtray. Yeah. I was waiting on Citrine to say that one. All right, go ahead.
That was
good. That was pretty good.
I was not prepared. However,
yeah, there you go.
That was bad.
I'll be here all
You
night.
shouldn't have said that.
No, that was probably like the most wittiest thing he's ever said that didn't sound like it came out of Dollar General. All right. So he was cremated.
That's right.
His ashes.
That would be messed up if that was. We read that.
I can't go anywhere.
Oh yeah, he was
Go
putting
ahead.
ashtray.
All right, go ahead. We passed the ashtray. We're gone.
No, I know you can tell me to go ahead, but it's Scott that keeps going. I don't know if it might be an ashtray, but anyway, he was cremated, put in a jar or a box or a bag. I don't know, but he was put in the driver's seat of the car. Also in the car with him was Engelbert Humperdinck tape. Listen, hear me out.
I'm trying.
Engelbert Humperdinck tape in the cassette deck with the song "Release Me" queued up and ready to play. That was his favorite song. The license plate read "Hi Pal," which was Swanson's go-to greeting whenever he didn't remember a name. So,
I want you to say the band name again.
The band name, it was a guy. It was Engelbert Humperdinck.
He had to get picked on when he was Engelbert.
You ever heard of
Humper?
Engelbert?
No.
No, he was a ladies' man. He was a crooner, man.
He was.
What now?
A crooner.
A crooner. I don't know what that is.
That's okay.
The opposite of cougar?
Yes, exactly the opposite. You got it, buddy.